In a world that never stops talking, where noise is constant, where opinions are shouted across screens, and where silence is often mistaken for weakness, there lies a forgotten power, silent strength. The world doesn't always celebrate the quiet ones. It often overlooks them, underestimates them, and sometimes even ridicules them for not joining the noise. But the truth is, silence is not the absence of power, it is often the presence of focused strength. The most successful individuals in history, the ones who changed the world, the ones who shaped their own destinies, understood one great secret. The secret of successful silence. When you learn to become still while the world is in chaos, you unlock something most people never tap into. You stop reacting to everything, and you start responding with intention. You stop wasting energy trying to prove yourself, and you begin building in private. You realize that noise is cheap, but growth is expensive. Silence becomes your sanctuary, your weapon, and your strategy. To be silent is not to be passive. It is to be in control. It is to know that your purpose is too serious to be distracted by every critic, every temptation, and every shallow praise. The truly powerful don't advertise every step. They don't reveal every plan. They work while the world sleeps. They prepare while others celebrate. They think deeper, feel stronger, and act smarter. Not because they shout louder, but because they listen harder. There's a profound clarity that comes in silence. When the external noise fades, the internal wisdom surfaces. You begin to hear your own voice, your own desires, your own truth. The world will always try to mold you into its image, try to drown you in its chaos. But when you return to silence, you return to yourself. You remember what matters. You remember what you were made for. You remember that purpose is not about attention, it's about alignment. Every great breakthrough begins in silence. The inventor in the lab, the athlete in the gym, the writer at their desk, the warrior before battle. They all know that silence isn't empty. It's full of preparation. It's where dreams are refined and strategies are built. While others seek validation, they seek vision. While others chase applause, they chase mastery. The crowd wants the outcome, but the quiet one wants the journey. They know that the results are forged in solitude, not in spotlight. The world doesn't see the hours you spent alone, fighting doubt, questioning your worth, battling fears. It only sees the moment you rise, but you know the truth. You were rising all along, in the silence, in the dark, in the grind no one celebrated. That's the power of successful silence. It doesn't need recognition to be real. It doesn't need noise to be valuable. It just needs discipline, direction, and an unbreakable mindset. There will be moments in your life when silence feels lonely, when your path feels isolated, when the noise of the world makes you question your progress. But don't mistake solitude for stagnation. You're not behind. You're just not distracted. You're doing the quiet work that loud people are too afraid to do. You're facing yourself, healing, growing, building, brick by brick. And when the time comes, the results will speak louder than any words ever could. Success doesn't come to those who talk about it. It comes to those who move in silence and execute without excuses. It comes to those who don't post every step, but instead live every step with purpose. It comes to those who don't waste time impressing others, but invest time in improving themselves. That's the secret. That's the mindset. That's the difference. In silence, you build character. You find discipline. You discover resilience. No one sees the 4 a.m. alarms, the rejections, the failures, the tears, but you do, and that's enough. Because you're not doing this for approval. You're doing it for transformation. You're not seeking attention. You're seeking legacy, and that only comes when you master the art of staying focused, staying consistent, and staying grounded in silence. You've got to understand that not everyone needs to know what you're doing. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Let them wonder, let them underestimate you, let them think you've got nothing going on, because one day they'll see what silence was shaping. They'll see the outcome, but they won't be able to trace the steps. Because you were moving in shadows, not in spotlights. Silence is where you get sharp. It's where your vision becomes clear, your motives become pure, your mind becomes focused. It's where you cut out the fluff and face the truth. It's where you confront your insecurities without distraction. In the silence, you can't hide from yourself. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because growth doesn't happen when you're pretending. It happens when you're honest with yourself, with your work, with your mission. When you embrace silence, you learn the art of patience. You stop expecting results overnight. You begin to appreciate the process. You understand that real success is not about speed, it's about sustainability. Anyone can make noise for a moment, but building something that lasts, that takes time, that takes intention, that takes silence. Let the world chase quick wins. Let them chase clout. You're after legacy. You're after mastery. You're after something real. There will be days when the silence gets loud, when doubt screams, when fear knocks, when quitting feels easier than continuing. But you've got to stay centered. You've got to remind yourself that you're not doing this for the moment. You're doing it for the movement. You're not chasing noise. You're becoming the force behind it. Let the doubts come, let the fears speak, but don't let them drive. You keep going, you keep grinding, you keep building. People will ask you why you're so quiet, why you're so focused, why you're not living it up, like everyone else. Smile, because they don't understand yet. They don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They don't know what you know. That silence is not absence, it's alignment. That quiet is not weakness, it's wisdom. That stillness is not laziness, it's strategy. You are not like everyone else. You're not here to fit in, to blend in, to settle. You're here to rise, to lead, to leave a mark. And that means you have to do what others won't. That means embracing the silence, leaning into the discomfort, sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term greatness. It means saying no to distractions, no to validation, no to anything that pulls you away from your mission. That's not easy, but it's necessary. You can't be unstoppable if you're always talking. You can't grow if you're always performing. Real growth happens in the quiet, when you're reading the books, hitting the gym, writing the plans, practicing the craft, studying the failures, preparing for the next level. That's the work no one sees. That's the work that builds giants. So next time the world tells you to speak up just to be heard, choose instead to stay silent and be strategic. Next time they mock your stillness, smile, because you know still waters run deep. Next time they beg for your attention, remember, your attention is your power. Guard it, protect it, use it wisely, because the secret of the successful silence is this: it's not about hiding, it's about honing. It's not about being invisible, it's about becoming undeniable. And when you emerge, not only will they hear you, they won't be able to ignore you, not because you shouted, but because you executed. Not because you posted, but because you produced. Not because you followed the crowd, but because you followed your calling. This is your time, not to prove anything to anyone, but to become everything you were meant to be. Let the noise fade. Let the silence sharpen. Let your actions rise louder than any words ever could. You don't need to announce your greatness. You just need to walk in it. And as you keep moving forward in your quiet resolve, remember that silence is not just about withholding words. It's about mastering your energy. It's about conserving your power for the right battles, the right moments, the right victories. You see, not everything deserves your response. Not every insult requires your defense. Not every distraction merits your attention. When you become strategic with your silence, you stop bleeding energy into meaningless places and start investing it into what truly matters. You become a fortress, not built of walls, but of willpower. You become unshakable, not because nothing touches you, but because you've trained your mind in the absence of noise. That's the real flex. Not how loud you can be, but how calm you can stay. Not how many people cheer for you, but how deeply you believe in yourself when no one's watching. That's when you're winning, even if it doesn't look like it yet. That's when you're growing, even if no one applauds, because growth isn't glamorous, it's gritty, it's silent, it's invisible. It's the work behind the curtains, the reps in the gym when no one's counting, the hours spent perfecting the skill while others sleep. It's sacrifice. It's the 1,000 invisible steps you take for the one moment when the world finally sees the result. And when they do, they'll call you an overnight success. They'll call you lucky, but you'll know it was the silence that did it. It was the discipline in the dark that built the light. There's a reason lions don't roar every hour. They don't need to. Their presence speaks for itself. That's who you must become, quietly powerful, calmly dominant, fiercely focused. A presence that doesn't need to announce itself, because the results do all the talking. You don't need to validate your progress with updates. You don't need to prove your worth with likes. All you need is your vision, your mission, and your unmatched consistency. Keep showing up. Keep putting in the reps. Keep being relentless in private. The people who change the world are not the loudest. They're the most obsessed, the most disciplined, the most committed. Long after the crowd stops clapping. They're the ones who do the work without the need for witnesses. Because they know silence compounds, effort compounds, discipline compounds, and one day the world will witness what was done in solitude. Don't fall into the trap of seeking quick applause. It's fleeting. It's addictive, and it can rob you of your purpose. Learn to delay the spotlight. Learn to be okay with being unseen for a while. Let your greatness mature in silence. Let your potential simmer until it's undeniable. When the time is right, the world will see what was growing under the surface, and they won't be able to look away. But even then, when recognition comes, don't let it pull you back into the noise. Stay grounded. Stay silent, stay focused, because the goal was never the applause, it was the impact, it was the freedom, it was the growth, and those things require a mind that's untouchable by distraction. That's the secret of sustainable success. The ability to stay silent when everyone else is shouting, to stay focused when everyone else is scattered. You will be tempted to break your silence for validation. Don't. You will be tempted to prove yourself to people who doubted you. Don't. You will be tempted to show off your progress before it's ready. Don't. Stay the course. Let your silence create anticipation. Let it build tension. Let it keep them guessing. Because when you finally reveal what you've been building, the silence will have made the noise even louder. You see, the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more substance. It needs more people who are not just talking about change, but being the change. People who are not just chasing the dream, but becoming the person capable of handling that dream. That's what silence gives you. It gives you depth. It gives you capacity. It gives you control over your mind, your emotions, and your outcomes. So, become the kind of person who thrives in silence, who grows in stillness, who leads with presence, not performance, who builds without bragging, who learns without announcing, who wins without needing to be seen every step of the way. That's real power. That's real greatness. That's what sets legends apart from the loud. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you step into your power. The moment you stop broadcasting your every move, you begin moving faster. The moment you stop reacting to every criticism, you start gaining clarity. That's the trade. Give up the noise, gain the vision. Give up the applause, gain the results. Give up the distractions, gain the focus, and that focus, that's where the magic is. That's where breakthroughs happen. That's where you separate yourself from the average. While they argue, you act. While they party, you prepare. While they drift, you drive. Every day, inch by inch, in silence, you are building an empire that will one day echo louder than any words ever could. You may not be recognized now. You may not be praised today. You may feel like no one notices your effort, but don't let that discourage you. Let it empower you, because when no one is watching, you are free to become. Free to evolve without judgment. Free to fail without shame. Free to win on your terms, not for show, but for soul. Remember, silence is not the absence of voice. It is the presence of vision. It is the commitment to your mission over your ego. It is the relentless pursuit of excellence without the need for external encouragement. It is strength under control, power without performance, purpose without pretense. Let your silence be full of motion. Let your silence be packed with power. Let your silence be your proof, because real ones don't need to say a word. Their work speaks, their results speak, their lives speak, and when you live that way, not only do you become unstoppable, you become undeniable. So go on, disappear if you need to, unplug from the noise, detach from the distractions, tune into your mission, build in the dark, train in the shadows, master your craft, heal your wounds, sharpen your edge. Become so good they can't ignore you, and then let your silence deliver the message, because in the end, the ones who make the most noise often have the least to show, but the ones who understand the secret of successful silence. They build dynasties, they create legacies, they move nations, not with their words, but with their unwavering, unbreakable, unstoppable actions. So keep walking that path, even when it feels like you're walking alone. Because the road to greatness is never crowded, especially in the beginning. Most people want shortcuts, applause, attention, but you've chosen differently. You've chosen depth over display, mastery over mediocrity. Purpose over popularity. That choice sets you apart, and though it may cost you comfort now, it will buy you freedom later. Silence sharpens your identity. It reminds you that you are not your performance, not your social status, not your followers, not your likes. You are the culmination of every quiet decision to improve, every uncelebrated moment of progress, every private victory. In a world that celebrates noise and speed, you are taking the courageous path, one of intention, stillness, and sustainable power. And yes, it will be hard. There will be days when you'll crave validation, days when it feels like everyone else is moving faster, getting more attention, gaining more recognition. But remember, loud is not the same as successful. Visible is not the same as valuable. You are building something they can't see yet. But one day they will, and when they do, they'll wonder how you did it. Let them wonder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your discipline. You don't need permission to be excellent in silence. You don't need to broadcast your process to validate your progress. You are doing what giants do. You're grinding behind the scenes, day after day, refining your mindset, developing your craft, and protecting your peace. The secret of the successful silence is knowing that real confidence doesn't need to be loud. It's quiet, it's calm, it's stable. It's the quiet certainty that you are becoming everything you were born to be. Confidence is not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about keeping your promises to yourself in silence until the world has no choice but to witness your truth. You are not defined by how much noise you make. You are defined by how much impact you create. The quietest storms leave the deepest marks. The strongest trees grow slowly, rooted deep where no one sees. The tallest buildings have the most hidden foundations. And the most successful people, their greatness was forged long before it was seen. Think of every setback, every failure, every hard night as a gift, a test, a forge, because the silence is where you gain your edge. Not when things are easy, but when you keep going despite the pain, the loneliness, the doubt. That's when you become unbreakable. That's when your future is being written, word by silent word, step by unseen step. And if you ever start to doubt yourself, remember this. Even the seed must disappear in the dirt before it breaks through the soil and becomes something magnificent. Your silence is not your burial, it is your planting. And what's planted in discipline, watered in solitude, and grown in silence will one day become unshakable greatness. This world is loud. It's impatient. It wants results now. It praises noise and forgets the power of stillness. But the ones who master silence, they master themselves, and when you master yourself, there is no battle you cannot win, no dream too distant, no mountain too high. You stop seeking permission and start claiming space. You stop chasing validation and start walking in vision. You become immune to the noise. It no longer controls you. It no longer distracts you. You've trained your mind to focus, to persist, to execute. And in that space, that silent space, you rise, not with a bang, but with undeniable force, not with noise, but with substance, not with hype, but with truth. There is a beautiful freedom in silence, the freedom to think, to feel, to breathe, to dream bigger than the distractions. It's where your ideas are born, your soul is restored, and your courage is recalibrated. Don't fear that stillness. Embrace it. Let it be your training ground, your reset button, your launch pad. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest. It's the one who's calm, calculated, and confident in silence. That's who you are becoming. A person who cannot be shaken, who cannot be rushed, who cannot be thrown off course by temporary opinions. Because you know your mission is too big, your vision too clear, your potential too massive to be derailed by noise. So let others talk, let others boast, let others rush, you stay the course, you protect your energy. You elevate your thinking, you keep your head down and your standards high. One day, the world will look up and realize what you've built while no one was watching. You're not just becoming successful, you're becoming unstoppable, and the world won't see it coming, not because it wasn't happening, but because it was happening in silence. And that's the real secret. That's the real legacy. To rise so quietly, so deliberately, that when you finally speak, your results do the talking. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You don't have to prove anything to those who doubt you. You just have to keep building, keep moving, keep showing up in silence, because when your time comes, your silence will erupt like thunder. Your presence will make the noise, your work will echo far louder than your words ever could. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay quiet. Let them underestimate you, let them forget you, let them think you've quit. And then, when it matters most, when the foundation is strong and your spirit is ready, rise, not with noise, not with fanfare, but with undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable excellence. That is the secret of the successful silence. It doesn't demand attention, it commands it. It doesn't beg for recognition, it earns it, and once earned, it never fades, because it was built not for applause, but for purpose. And purpose, when pursued relentlessly, is louder than any voice, stronger than any doubt, and more powerful than any spotlight. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can send is no message at all. Just presence, just progress, just the results that can't be denied. That's what silence trains you to deliver, a life that speaks for itself, a legacy that echoes louder than any declaration, and a strength that doesn't need an audience to exist. You weren't born to explain yourself. You were born to express your greatness through living it, embodying it, walking it every day in silence, in focus, in consistency. The world is full of people trying to be heard, but very few are worth listening to. Don't strive to be heard. Strive to become someone whose presence shifts the atmosphere. That kind of power is earned in silence, built through discipline, and sustained by purpose. There will come a day when everything you've done in the dark will step into the light. And when that day comes, you won't need to shout. You won't need to post or prove or perform. Your results will speak. Your transformation will speak. Your peace will speak. Your discipline will shout louder than any noise you ever could have made. That is the reward of silence, the internal strength, the spiritual grounding, the unmatched clarity. When you can walk through storms and not flinch, when you can navigate chaos and remain calm, when you can live without reacting, you've already won. Because silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of power, and once you harness it, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. When others doubt you, stay silent and keep working. When you doubt yourself, go deeper into silence and reconnect with your purpose. When you feel the pull to be seen or validated or praised, Pause, breathe, and remember, you are not doing this for attention. You are doing this for greatness. You are doing this for freedom. You are doing this for your legacy. Every morning you rise and choose discipline, you are honoring the silence. Every time you hold your tongue instead of clapping back, you are honoring the silence. Every time you choose work over distraction, vision over validation, peace over performance, you are honoring the silence. And the silence is watching. It is building something within you that cannot be shaken. Let them see the surface while you master the depths. Let them chase trends while you build timeless value. Let them seek applause while you pursue legacy. Because one day, while they're still talking, you will be living what they only dreamed of. One day, your silence will be the story they can't stop telling. So don't worry if it feels like no one sees your progress. Keep planting, keep preparing, keep growing. The roots are forming. The foundation is strengthening. You are becoming the person who can carry the weight of everything you've prayed for. And that becoming, it's happening in the silence. Silence builds character. It builds resilience. It builds wisdom. It teaches you to lead yourself first, because before you can lead others, before you can make an impact, you have to have dominion over your own mind. You have to become still enough to hear your own truth, clear enough to hold your own vision, and strong enough to walk alone if you must. And in that silence, you begin to feel your own power. Not the borrowed power of applause or praise, but the real kind. The quiet, stable, unbreakable kind that comes from within. The kind that doesn't shout, but commands. The kind that doesn't seek, but attracts. That kind of power is rare, and it's forged in silence. So protect your silence, make it sacred. Use it as your training ground. Use it as your shield. Use it as your strategy. Because when the world goes loud and loses its mind, your silence will become your superpower. It will keep you centered. It will keep you focused. It will keep you aligned. That's the secret no one talks about. The ones who last are not the ones who shouted the loudest in the beginning. They are the ones who mastered the inner game, who did the work in silence, who became unshakable through solitude, who grew stronger, clearer, and bolder, step by silent step. And when your moment comes, it won't be because you talked your way into it. It will be because you earned it, you became it, you didn't chase it. You attracted it through who you became in silence. Your energy will enter rooms before you do. Your presence will speak before you open your mouth. Because when you've been forged in silence, everything about you becomes undeniable. So embrace that. Walk with quiet confidence. Speak less and do more. Post less and build more. React less and create more. The world is full of talkers. Be the one who delivers. Be the one who executes. Be the one who doesn't need a microphone to move mountains, because that kind of power, it lasts, it leads, it liberates. Let others wonder. Let others guess. Let others try to figure out how you became so steady, so focused, so successful. Don't break the silence. Let it continue to do what it does best. Protect you, grow you, elevate you. Because in the end, those who master the silence master the game. Because when you arrive at that moment, fully formed, battle-tested, unbreakable, you won't need to announce yourself. The silence that carried you will become the thunder that surrounds you. Everything they didn't see, everything you endured without recognition, everything you overcame when no one was watching, it will all shine through you without a single word. You will move differently. With certainty, with peace, with purpose. You will no longer chase outcomes because you will have become the source. You'll no longer be driven by fear or approval because your identity will be rooted in the hours of quiet work, the lonely sacrifices, the deep inner battles that no applause ever touched. That's the kind of person silence creates. A person who no longer needs to seek the world because the world begins to seek them. And make no mistake, when that day comes, when you emerge from the silence with the kind of excellence that can't be ignored, you will look back at every quiet moment and be grateful for it. Grateful for the times you were overlooked. Grateful for the days you weren't chosen. Grateful for the solitude, the stillness, the inner grind. because all of it made you stronger than you ever imagined. You'll realize that the silence didn't delay your success. It prepared you for it. It gave you the tools to carry the weight, the discipline to sustain it, and the wisdom to protect it. And those who took the shortcuts, who demanded the spotlight without doing the work, they'll burn out while you continue to rise, because what's built in silence lasts. So keep your head down and your standards high. Let your focus be louder than your words. Let your character be more impressive than your achievements. Let your purpose guide your path, not popularity. You are on a mission, and the noise is just that, noise. It can't derail you unless you let it, and you won't, because you know better now. The silence isn't a punishment, it's a privilege. It's where legends are born. It's where destinies are shaped. It's where vision becomes reality. So honor it, protect it, trust it. Let it teach you what noise never will: patience, strength, clarity, power. And on the days it feels hardest, when you're tempted to break the silence, to prove something to someone, to speed up the process, pause. Breathe and remember who you are. Remember why you started. Remember the fire in you that doesn't need to be broadcast, because it's felt by anyone close enough to sense your presence. That is the ultimate power, to be so grounded, so focused, so disciplined in your silence, that when the world finally hears you speak, it listens, not because of volume, but because of value. You become unforgettable not because you demanded attention, but because you became undeniable. This is your edge, this is your strength, this is your path, and no matter how long it takes, no matter how quiet the journey may seem, stay on it, because one day your silence will erupt into a roar that can't be silenced, a legacy that can't be shaken, a success so real, so earned, so powerful that no noise will ever be needed again. Let this be your commitment, not to noise, not to recognition, not to proving, but to becoming. In silence, with patience, through power, and when the time is right, the world will hear you, not because you spoke loudly, but because you lived fully. And even after the world hears you, even after the success, the recognition, the results, you will return to silence. Because by then you'll know, silence wasn't just a means to an end. It was the end, the reward, the sanctuary, the clarity. You'll have tasted the truth that only a few ever discover. That greatness is not something you shout about. It's something you live, something you carry quietly in how you think, how you act, and how you lead. The spotlight is temporary, the noise is fleeting, but the wisdom gained in silence, the strength born in struggle, the peace earned through patience, those are eternal, and those are yours now. You will no longer chase moments. You will build momentum. You will no longer seek applause. You will create alignment, because the silence that once shaped you will now sustain you. You will walk through life with the calm of someone who knows where they're going. You won't be shaken by criticism or distracted by praise. You'll listen more and speak less, but when you do speak, people will listen, because they'll sense that your words are backed by something far deeper, the weight of your experience, the depth of your character, the truth of your journey. This isn't just success. This is mastery, mastery over your mind, mastery over your energy, mastery over your choices. You won't move from impulse anymore. You'll move from intention. You won't need external validation, because your internal compass will be so finely tuned that you'll trust yourself with every step. And maybe that's the ultimate lesson of the successful silence, that the real battle was never outside of you. It wasn't the critics, the doubters, the rejections. It was always the internal war, the noise inside your own head, the urge to be seen too soon, the temptation to give up when it got hard. But you stayed. You endured, you grew, and because of that, you've become someone unstoppable. Now you see everything differently. Obstacles are no longer threats. They're teachers. Delays are no longer frustrations. They're opportunities for refinement. You've learned to pause before you react, to think before you speak, to protect your energy like it's the most valuable asset you own, because it is, and that changes everything. Your relationships improve. Your decisions become sharper. Your goals grow bolder. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve your purpose. You stop shrinking to fit in rooms where you were never meant to stay. You stop settling. Because now you know your value, and you don't need to speak it. You are it. This is the quiet confidence that changes lives, the kind of presence that doesn't need to perform, the kind of power that speaks for itself. The kind of legacy that is built, not by noise, but by consistency, discipline, and truth. So continue your journey. Stay faithful to the silence. Let it keep shaping you, guiding you, revealing more of what's inside you. You've come too far to turn back. You've grown too strong to be distracted. You've seen too much to ever settle again, and now it's your time, not just to succeed, but to become everything you once only dreamed of. You owe it to yourself to keep rising, not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove yourself right, to honor the time you spent in darkness, to carry forward the strength you gained in solitude, to walk boldly in the path you paved, alone at first, but now with impact. Let every step you take be a reminder that you mastered what most never do. You endured what most couldn't. You stayed when others quit. And now you move with the power of someone who knows that real success isn't loud, it's lived. Because even now, as you stand firmly in this newfound power, the silence keeps working for you. It sharpens your thoughts. It fuels your focus. It preserves your peace. You don't need to make noise to be seen. You don't need to scream to be respected. You don't need to demand to be remembered, because those who are truly great never have to announce it. Their actions, their aura, and their outcomes say it all. You become a living testament to what is possible when a person learns to believe in their vision without needing external confirmation. You show the world what happens when someone commits to the process instead of the praise. You embody a different kind of ambition, not the one that burns out in search of applause, but the one that endures day after silent day until the goal is met, the mountain is climbed, the standard is raised. You will be unbothered by comparison because you are too committed to your mission. You won't be shaken by criticism because you are rooted in truth. You won't chase trends because your path is timeless. In that power, that calm, steady, unshakable power, it will inspire others far more than any noise ever could. And yes, some will still misunderstand you. Some will question your silence. They'll wonder why you don't say more, post more, explain more. Let them. You don't owe the world an explanation for your evolution. You don't need to narrate your rise. Your transformation is yours. Your growth is yours. Your peace is yours. It was built quietly, and it will be protected fiercely. Because now you know what few ever will, that silence is not absence. It is alignment, not weakness, but wisdom, not emptiness, but elevation. And once you understand that, you will never again need to seek validation in the external world. Because everything you needed, you found in the quiet within. So keep walking in that truth. Let the noise fall away. Let the world keep wondering. You just keep rising. Keep evolving. Keep showing up when it's hard, and grinding when no one sees, and believing when no one claps. Because every time you do, you multiply your power. You deepen your roots. You become more than just successful. You become solid. And that, more than anything else, is what the silence was preparing you for. Not a single moment of glory, but a lifetime of greatness. Not a flash of fame, but a foundation that can carry you through anything. Not temporary applause, but unshakable authenticity. So be proud, not just of what you've done, but of who you've become in the silence. Of the strength you forged when no one was watching. Of the mindset you mastered when everyone else was distracted. That is your crown, that is your edge, that is your superpower. You've learned to walk alone without feeling lonely. You've learned to trust your voice without shouting it. You've learned to stay still and grounded even as the world spins wildly around you. That's rare, that's real, that's powerful, and now, as you continue forward, carry this silence with you, not as a place to hide, but as a well of strength. Not as an escape from the world, but as a higher way to live in it. Let it be your compass, your filter, your fire. Let it be your reminder that you're not here to impress. You're here to impact. because those who make the biggest difference often make the fewest announcements. Those who last the longest often speak the softest, and those who rise the highest, they usually rise in silence. So carry that legacy forward, leave it with grace, protect it with humility, and let your story, your strength, your silence, speak louder than words ever could. And as your journey continues, you'll find that silence becomes more than just a tactic. It becomes your trusted companion. In a world addicted to distraction, you'll crave the stillness. In a society driven by endless opinion, you'll find comfort in your inner knowing. You'll no longer waste time explaining your choices, justifying your vision, or defending your direction. You'll understand deeply that the most powerful lives are not the loudest ones, but the ones built with deliberate, focused, and often invisible effort. Every lesson you've learned in silence will be embedded in you. It will show in your posture, in your patience, in your presence. You'll have developed a quiet type of authority, the kind that doesn't shout, but when it enters the room, everything shifts, the kind that doesn't need to push because it naturally pulls, the kind that draws people in, not by force but by truth. And you'll notice something beautiful happen. The things you once chased begin to come to you, opportunities align, the right people show up. Doors open not because you begged for them, but because you became the person who belonged behind them. And when those doors open, you'll walk through them with grace, not arrogance, because you'll know the cost. You'll remember the silence. You'll carry with you every invisible sacrifice that shaped your strength. You'll inspire others without even trying. They'll watch how you move, how you carry yourself, how you operate in pressure without panic. They'll feel your calm and want to understand it. They'll ask you how you stayed so composed, so focused, so resilient, and all you'll say is, "I honored the silence," and in that moment you'll understand just how far you've come. You'll see that what the world calls mystery was really just mastery, that the silence wasn't the absence of strategy, it was the foundation of it. You were building something real, something lasting, something bigger than noise. You didn't need to speak about your discipline. You lived it. You didn't need to post about your progress. You proved it. You didn't need to argue for your vision. You manifested it, and now the results are undeniable. This is the fruit of the silent path. Not just success, but fulfillment. Not just achievement, but alignment. Not just recognition, but reverence for the self, for the work, for the journey. So, wherever you go from here, whether the world finally hears your name or never does, remember that you've already won, because you became someone who is driven not by external validation, but by inner vision. You became someone who mastered the art of holding peace in a chaotic world. You became someone who doesn't need to speak to be understood, and that is rare, that is powerful, that is unforgettable. Let others seek to be loud. Let them chase trends and attention and applause. You'll keep building in silence. You'll keep rising in discipline. You'll keep living in alignment, because that's what real greatness does. It whispers, it works, and then one day, it roars without saying a word. And when you look back on it all, from the quiet beginnings to the powerful now, you won't regret a single moment. You'll cherish the stillness that taught you to hear your true voice. You'll be grateful for the solitude that introduced you to your strength. And you'll stand tall, calm, ready, because the silence didn't just prepare you for success. And when others look at your life, they'll see the outcome, the achievement, the strength, but they'll never fully understand the quiet war you fought to get there. And that's okay, because it was never about being understood. It was about becoming undeniable. Your silence was never weakness. It was a sacred agreement between you and your destiny. You were doing the work no one else could see, building a version of yourself no one else could imagine. You will remember the mornings you woke up before the sun, not for applause, but because your purpose called louder than comfort. You will remember the nights you stayed in while others celebrated, choosing vision over validation. You will remember the rejections that didn't break you, the setbacks that didn't stop you, the loneliness that didn't consume you. And most of all, you'll remember the fire that kept burning, even when there was no one around to warm their hands by it. You'll walk through life with a presence that commands respect, not because you ask for it, but because you've earned it, and your silence, once mistaken for passivity, will now be seen as poise. Your calm will be mistaken for mystery. Your stillness for strength, and in truth, that's exactly what it is, because the world rarely understands the person who chooses depth over display, who chooses to master their inner world before conquering the outer one. You will continue to grow, not for show, but for service to yourself, to your vision, and to the people you are meant to impact. You will become more intentional with your energy, more selective with your time, more aligned with your values. Because silence taught you the value of clarity, and clarity taught you how to move with precision, and while others exhaust themselves trying to be seen, you will thrive by simply being solid. Your confidence will not be performance, it will be presence. Your progress will not be reactive, it will be rooted. Your life will no longer be a chase, it will be a choice. You'll choose peace over noise, depth over drama, focus over flash, and you will never again trade your truth for the temporary comfort of fitting in. Because you've already done the hardest thing there is to do. You stayed committed in the silence. You didn't quit when it was quiet. You didn't crumble without praise. You didn't retreat when no one believed. You showed up, you stayed the course, and now you are walking in the kind of power that few ever find. Because real power is not loud, it is not boastful, it does not demand attention, it doesn't shout. It doesn't need a spotlight. Real power is quiet. Real power is calm. Real power is built slowly, silently, in the moments no one sees, and that is what lives in you now. So take this moment, wherever you are in your journey, and breathe. You have become the kind of person who cannot be shaken by life's noise. You've trained yourself in solitude. You've grown in darkness. You've stayed true in silence, and that has made you unbreakable. You are not here to impress. You are here to express your truth, your strength, your greatness, quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. Let the world watch. Let the world wonder. Let the world try to figure out how you did it. And as the world continues to move with chaos and noise, you'll remain grounded in your discipline, in your mission, and in your silent strength. While others are distracted by the temporary, you'll stay focused on the timeless. While they run from discomfort, you'll lean into it. Because you've learned that growth doesn't scream, it whispers. You've learned that evolution doesn't announce itself. It happens slowly, patiently, and always in silence. And it's in this silence that you've found the answers so many are still searching for. You've learned that your worth was never in their approval, that your peace is more precious than their attention, that your future is too important to be sacrificed for temporary validation. You've learned that those who are loudest often have the least to say, and those who say the least often have the most to offer. There is a dignity in your journey now, a grace in how you move, a certainty in how you think, because you've been tested, shaped, and refined in a way most people will never understand. You've made silence your discipline. And that has made you dangerous, not in a loud, reckless way, but in a powerful, grounded, unshakable way. The kind of danger that comes from knowing who you are, where you're going, and what you stand for. No one can buy that, no one can fake that, and no one can take that from you. So from this day forward, carry your silence like armor. Let it protect your energy. Let it guard your intentions. Let it preserve the sacred space where your real work happens. Internally, quietly, consistently. Don't explain your grind, don't defend your path, don't justify your pace. Let your progress be the proof. Let your peace be the evidence. Let your life be the message, because those who walk with silence walk with power. They are never lost, they are just focused, they are not behind, they are just building, they are not forgotten, they are just rising, and when the world finally sees what you've become, they won't understand how it happened. But you will, you'll remember every silent morning, every disciplined night, every quiet decision, every unseen sacrifice. You'll remember the silence not as a season, but as the foundation. You'll know that it wasn't luck. It wasn't timing, it wasn't magic. Because in the end, what truly separates the exceptional from the ordinary is not noise, not spectacle, not grand declarations. It's the ability to remain grounded and relentless when no one's watching. To do the work without needing applause, to sharpen your skills without a stage, to sacrifice and build and endure, not because the world is watching, but because you are, and that inner witness, that quiet accountability to your own potential, that is what forges greatness. You've realized something powerful. Silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of purpose. It's the atmosphere where vision is born, where resilience is tested, and where strength is solidified. The noise outside doesn't matter anymore. You're tuned in to something deeper now, a quiet rhythm that guides your every move. You no longer need permission. You no longer wait for recognition. You've become your own source of fuel. And now, as you stand in the strength of everything you've endured and everything you've built, you carry something few ever will, a deep and quiet conviction, a knowing that you're exactly where you're meant to be, that the road you walked, the quiet road, the lonely road, was always the right one, that it shaped you not just to succeed, but to sustain your success. There is a power in you that no one can touch, because it wasn't given to you by the world. It was earned in the silence, in the early mornings and late nights. In the quiet moments of doubt, you answered with belief. In the setbacks, you answered with patience. In the isolation, you answered with growth. You are no longer fazed by the noise of others, because you have learned the music of your own soul. You've heard it in the stillness. You've followed it when no one else did, and now it plays louder and clearer than ever, not in volume, but in truth. It's the soundtrack of your destiny, and you're moving to it without hesitation. Let others chase chaos. Let them cling to distractions. Let them exhaust themselves trying to be seen. You don't need that. You've found something better. You've found direction, depth, discipline. You've found the secret, the silent, steady, powerful secret, that everything the world is shouting for can be built quietly, patiently, and persistently. And so the next chapter of your journey won't look like a parade. It will look like peace. It will look like clarity. It will look like daily, focused, inspired work. You will wake up every morning not to chase, but to create. Not to impress, but to build. Not to talk, but to transform. And when you do speak, your words will carry the weight of someone who lived them. They will cut through the noise, not because they're loud, but because they're real. Because they were forged in experience, shaped by silence, and delivered with intention. And that kind of message can't be ignored. That kind of presence can't be denied. So hold your silence close. Let it continue to mold you. Let it remind you in every season that you never needed to scream to make an impact. You only needed to stay true, stay focused, and stay consistent. You are a force now, not because the world says so, but because you know so. And that knowing, that deep, quiet, unshakable knowing, that is the mark of someone who is truly free, free from comparison, free from noise, free from the need to prove anything to anyone. And as this journey continues and your silence grows deeper, so does your understanding of what truly matters. You begin to see that most of life's battles are not won through argument or display or even persuasion. They are won through alignment, through presence, through the refusal to be shaken by the storms that shake everyone else. You carry your silence like a sword, not to attack, but to cut away distraction, to slice through the noise, to stand unwavering when others collapse under the pressure of needing to be seen. This silence has now become the air you breathe. It sharpens your mind like steel sharpens steel. It has taught you how to respond rather than react, how to think clearly when the world demands urgency, how to move with grace when the world moves with greed. You no longer look outward for direction. You look inward for guidance. You no longer need to explain your decisions. You simply live by their results. People will look at you and see calm where there should be chaos. They'll see strength where they expect weakness. They'll see certainty where they assumed confusion. And they'll wonder how. They'll wonder why. They'll wonder what your secret is. But you'll know. You'll know it's the silence. It's the countless hours no one saw. It's the promises you kept to yourself. It's the pain you didn't post about. It's the work you did in the dark. It's the patience, the sacrifice, the focus. And more than anything, it's the refusal to let the noise of the world drown out the truth of your own soul. Because when the world gets loud, and it always will, those who have trained themselves in silence will rise. Those who stayed grounded will lead. Those who resisted the pull of distraction will dominate. Those who stayed unseen will become unforgettable, because the world eventually bows to those who were too busy building to beg for attention. And when you do speak, your words will move mountains, because they come from depth, because they are backed by action, because they are not spoken to impress, but to impact. Your voice, once underestimated, will be the one they listen to when everything else fails. And your presence, once overlooked, will become a beacon for others who are still lost in the noise. This is the power of silence, not silence for silence's sake, but silence that transforms, silence that elevates, silence that refines. You've not just learned how to survive in quiet, you've learned how to thrive in it. And now your life becomes an invitation, not for people to mimic your noise, but to find their own silence. Not to chase attention, but to chase truth, not to become you, but to become themselves fully, fearlessly, quietly, because in this world, the one who masters silence masters themselves. And the one who masters themselves can never be controlled. So you keep walking your path, calm, clear, and completely focused. You let others rush while you remain rooted. You let them crave recognition while you craft legacy. Because you've come to understand that the true reward is not in being seen, it's in becoming someone who doesn't need to be. Your fulfillment is no longer tied to being validated, it's tied to being valuable. And value is built in silence. Every move you make now is intentional. Every step has weight. You are no longer pulled by every impulse, no longer responding to every distraction, no longer explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand. You don't owe the world your noise. You owe it your greatness, and that greatness is being built moment by moment. In the silence where your power lives, you realize now that the highest form of discipline is the discipline to not react, to not be shaken, to not perform, to not be tempted into proving something that doesn't need proof. You've outgrown the need to announce every chapter. You've outgrown the desire to be known before you're ready. You are letting your work speak, your presence speak, your life speak. Because here's the real truth. The secret of successful silence is that it doesn't keep you small. It prepares you to go big. It's not hiding. It's hatching. It's not being passive, it's being precise. When you move in silence, you conserve your energy for what matters. You protect your vision from premature exposure. You give yourself the freedom to evolve without commentary, without interference, without noise. And when the results show, because they always will, no, one will be able to deny the reality of who you've become. Not because you talked about it, but because you lived it, because you endured, because you believed, because you stayed the course when others swerved, because you sacrificed being seen to become something that can never be unseen. So now, every room you walk into, you carry a quiet fire. People feel it. They may not know your story, but they can feel your strength. They may not know your struggle, but they respect your silence. You're not loud, but you're powerful. You're not flashy, but you're focused. You're not seeking followers, but you're creating a path worth following. And in that silence, you're not just building a life. You're building a legacy. One that speaks not just to what you did, but how you did it. With grace, with patience, with unshakable inner power. So you keep walking your path, calm, clear, and completely focused. You let others rush while you remain rooted. You let them crave recognition while you craft legacy. Because you've come to understand that the true reward is not in being seen, it's in becoming someone who doesn't need to be. Your fulfillment is no longer tied to being validated, it's tied to being valuable. And value is built in silence. Every move you make now is intentional. Every step has weight. You are no longer pulled by every impulse, no longer responding to every distraction, no longer explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand. You don't owe the world your noise, you owe it your greatness, and that greatness is being built moment by moment. In the silence where your power lives, you realize now that the highest form of discipline is the discipline to not react, to not be shaken, to not perform, to not be tempted into proving something that doesn't need proof. You've outgrown the need to announce every chapter. You've outgrown the desire to be known before you're ready. You are letting your work speak, your presence speak, your life speak, because here's the real truth. The secret of successful silence is that it doesn't keep you small. It prepares you to go big. It's not hiding. It's hatching. It's not being passive, it's being precise. When you move in silence, you conserve your energy for what matters. You protect your vision from premature exposure. You give yourself the freedom to evolve without commentary, without interference, without noise. And when the results show, because they always will, no, one will be able to deny the reality of who you've become, not because you talked about it, but because you lived it, because you endured, because you believed, because you stayed the course when others swerved, because you sacrificed being seen to become something that can never be unseen. So now, every room you walk into, you carry a quiet fire. People feel it. They may not know your story, but they can feel your strength. They may not know your struggle, but they respect your silence. You're not loud, but you're powerful. You're not flashy, but you're focused. You're not seeking followers, but you're creating a path worth following. And when all is said and done, long after the noise has faded and the crowds have dispersed, what will remain is the essence of who you became through it all. Not just what you accomplished, but how you endured. Not just what you gained, but what you gave up to get there. Not just what you built in the light, but what you mastered in the shadows. The world will continue spinning, full of voices shouting for attention, for fame, for approval. But you will move with a different rhythm. You've unlocked something few ever do. The strength to be still, the power to be patient, the courage to grow without applause. You've chosen the long game. You've chosen excellence over ego, purpose over popularity, and mastery over mediocrity. And you'll realize something even deeper, that silence has become your sanctuary. It's where you go to reconnect, to reset, to realign. It's where your vision becomes clearer, your strategy becomes sharper, and your heart stays grounded. It's not just part of your process, it is your process. It's not the absence of action, it's the birthplace of every meaningful one. Every time you chose silence instead of explaining yourself to people who couldn't understand, you protected your peace. Every time you worked in silence instead of broadcasting your progress, you honored your journey. Every time you endured in silence instead of reacting to doubt, you affirmed your inner belief, and now you walk forward with quiet authority, the kind that doesn't need an audience to matter, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard, the kind that commands respect without ever demanding it. Because the truth is, silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of wisdom. And you, through every unseen effort, through every private battle, through every quiet victory, have become a living embodiment of that truth. You are the proof that you don't need to be loud to be legendary. You don't need to be flashy to be formidable. You don't need to be seen every day to be unforgettable. Your life speaks volumes because you had the strength to remain silent while you built it. So go forward, calm, confident, and committed. Let others wonder, let them question, let them underestimate. It doesn't matter anymore because you've already won, not by proving them wrong, but by proving yourself right. So keep your silence sacred. Guard it like treasure. Let it continue to nourish the most important parts of you, the vision, the focus, the inner fire. Let it keep shaping you into someone who doesn't just chase greatness, but embodies it. Because while others are still searching for shortcuts, you've already found the truth. There is no substitute for discipline. There is no hack for character, and there is no way around the work. You do it. Quietly, consistently, completely. There will be temptations to break the silence, temptations to explain yourself, to correct the assumptions, to respond to doubt. But you've grown past that. You no longer waste energy on defending what your destiny will declare for you. Your life, when fully revealed, will silence every critic, every skeptic, every whisper of doubt. But even that isn't your goal. You don't live to silence others. You live to stay in harmony with yourself. You've outgrown the need to fight battles that don't matter. You've outgrown the need to prove your worth to people who are too distracted to see it. You've outgrown the drama, the noise, the approval seeking. You've replaced all of it with intention, clarity, and action. And now, every day becomes another quiet brick laid in the foundation of something unshakable. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them guess what you're up to. Your silence is your shield and your strategy, because while they're speaking, you're executing. While they're guessing, you're grinding. While they're watching, you're winning, in ways they can't measure and with a strength they can't match. The secret of the successful silence isn't just about staying quiet. It's about what grows in that quiet. It's about who you become when no one is watching. It's about the version of you that's being built with precision, day by day, hour by hour, in the sacred space where only truth can exist. It's about cultivating a mindset so strong, so focused, so powerful, that nothing from the outside can shake what lives within. You've mastered that space, and it shows, not in loud gestures, but in subtle confidence. Not in dramatic displays, but in undeniable presence. Not in empty words, but in meaningful actions. You are becoming a walking reminder that power doesn't always roar, it often whispers. And those whispers, backed by relentless effort and unwavering purpose, are louder than anything the world can throw at you. You've found peace in not being understood. You've found freedom in not being seen. You've found progress in not being praised. And that's why you will go farther than most, last longer than most, and rise higher than most. Because even now, as the journey continues and more challenges arise, your silence remains your constant. It doesn't waver, it doesn't panic, it doesn't scream for rescue or reassurance. It simply stays, strong, calm, unmovable. It carries you through storms and setbacks. It holds your focus when the world tries to steal it. It keeps your feet grounded while your vision reaches for something far greater. You've learned that silence isn't just something you practice. It's something you become. It's in how you move, how you respond, how you lead. It's in how you choose your battles, protect your energy, and prioritize your future. It's in how you handle pressure without collapsing, how you handle praise without ego, and how you handle failure without fear. Every day you move with a little more confidence, not because people finally see you, but because you finally see yourself, clearly, fully, quietly. The silence helped you discover not just who you are, but who you're meant to be. And now that you know that, there's no turning back, because in that silence you discovered what the noise tried to hide, your strength, your clarity, your potential. You now understand that true greatness is not loud, it's steady. That true leaders don't rise by shouting over others. They rise by listening deeper, seeing clearer, and acting with conviction. You've earned a kind of freedom most people will never understand, the freedom to not react. The freedom to build without permission, the freedom to rise without needing applause. That's what silence gave you. That's what discipline shaped. That's what time alone with your mission created. And here's the truth. They may never fully understand your silence. They may never know what it took to stay the course, to hold the vision, to move forward when no one was clapping, cheering, or even noticing. But you will. You'll know exactly what it cost, and exactly why it was worth it. Because now your life doesn't just reflect success. It reflects self-mastery. It reflects discipline. It reflects purpose. It reflects the unstoppable momentum of someone who never needed the noise to win, only the belief that they could. You walk forward now not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove to yourself that your silence was never in vain, that the seeds you planted in private were destined to bloom in ways the world never saw coming. And bloom they will, quietly, powerfully, unforgettably,